Hello everyone, welcome to lecture 3 of Math 5. For today, we're going to discuss while loops. So, ano ba yun? A loop is a programming structure that repeats a sequence of instructions until a specific condition is met. So, ibig sabihin, paulit-ulit niyang gagawin yung certain set of instructions until a certain condition is met. Okay, so this is used to get computers to do repetitive tasks, which is another cornerstone of programming. So, di ba there are a lot of instances wherein kailangan nating mag-iterate. Okay? Sa higher engineering, you will have to kind of iterate, no, to get a certain value. Let's say, yung pinaka-optimum na size, ganyan. Alright? So, you would have to iterate. And, alam natin, sa iteration, paulit-ulit mong gagawin yung certain procedures. Tapos, may i-update ka lang na value each and every time. Okay? So, ngayon, sa programming, alam natin na yung computer, kayang-kaya niyang gawin yon. Okay? Nang mabilis. Kasi pag tayo yung gagawa, prone na sa error, medyo mabagal pa, no? As compared sa computer, di ba? Kung ilang nanosecond lang, tapos na siya. Alright? Ganun. So, there are 3 techniques. Okay? We have while loops, for loops, and recursion. So, for this, we're going to discuss while loops lang muna. Ano ba yung while loop? Okay? A while loop instructs your computer to continuously execute your code based on the value of a condition. Okay, so we'll see more of that yan ngayon. Okay, so this begins with the keyword while. So ito yon. Okay. Followed by a comparison to be evaluated. So in our example, the condition to be evaluated is x less than 5? Okay. And then, followed by a colon. So, guys, don't forget the colon here para din yung if statement, no? May colon sa dulo. Kasi kung walang colon, then, mag-e-error yan. Sabihin ni Python na may mali. Okay, so, there's something wrong with your syntax. Alright? Now, similar to an if statement, the code in the body will only be executed if the comparison is evaluated to be true. So, like the if statement, yung while loop, meron din siyang body. So, this one. So, sabi dyan, diba, sa if statement, kapag nag-true yung condition sa if statement, saka pupunta sa body. The same holds for the while loop, no? So, sa while statement mo. If the comparison evaluates to be true, then saka lang magpo-proceed sa body ng while loop. So, ano yung difference nila? So, sabi, the difference between the two is that this code block will keep executing as long as the evaluation statement is true. So, yon. Yung while loop kasi, paulit-ulit niyang gagawin yung nandito sa loob as long as nasa-satisfy yung condition dito sa taas. Sa if statement, isang beses lang, di ba? Let's say, if ganito, ito yung gagawin. Tapos na siya. Next line of code na. On the other hand, sa while loop kasi, as long as x is less than 5, your computer will keep on doing this. No? Yung body ng while loop natin. So, that's the difference. So ayan, as long as the statement is true, ibig sabihin, of course, pag nag-false siya, hindi na siya papasok dito sa body ng while loop. Magne-next line na siya dito. Mag-skip siya. Alright? Once the statement is no longer true, the loop exits. And the next line of code will be executed. So, yun na nga. Kapag naging false, let's say, x, ano ba yung value of x that would make this statement false? Diba, 5 and greater than 5. Okay, so let's say x is 5. So 5 is not less than 5. Therefore, this is false. hindi na dadaan dito, mag-skip na siya, dito na siya pupunta, ito na yung execute niya, yung print statement na. Okay, so that's how it works. Next, we have the term initializing. So this is giving an initial value to a variable. Dito sa example natin, nasan dyan yung part na nag-initialize tayo? Nakita mo ba? So, ito yon. So, for this, I think na-mention ko na rin to before, no? Yung variable x is we put an initial value, okay, to this variable. So, we set the initial value of x to be equal to 0, right? And then, next we have the while loops body. It is a block that's indented to the right that contains the actions that will be done by the while loop. So, as mentioned earlier, ito yung body ng while loop. Okay, so this is just a discussion. Okay, so discuss ko na lang dito. So, anong nangyari dito sa code natin? Una, we initialized the value of x. Diba? Sabi natin, x is 0. We put 0 as the value of x. Okay. Next, sabi, while x is less than 5, so this is the condition, your program will print, not there yet, x equals, nag-concatenate tayo, no? X. So, yung x na value dito, since this is, tawag dito, an integer, no? Convert natin into a string so that we can concatenate it with this statement, right? And then, after printing this, next line, dun sa ating body ng while loop is x equals x plus 1. Okay, so what happened here? Yung value of x ay na-update, no? Nagkaroon ng change sa value ni x. Right? Initial value of x is 0. Now, what would happen here? 0 plus 1. So, the new value of x is now 1. Okay, so, after this line, anong mangyayari? Pupunta na ba sa print statement? No. Kasi, i-check muna ng program mo yung condition na to with the new value of x. So, babalik siya ulit doon. So, this will now become 1, while 1 is less than 5. Is that true? It is true. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, mag-execute ulit itong body ng while loop. Alright? So, paulit-ulit niyang gagawin yon. Magiging x equals 2, x equals 3, 4, 5. Now, what will happen? So, when x is now equal to 5, 5 less than 5. Is that true? No. So, nag-false na siya. Hindi na mag-execute yung print statement na to. Hindi na rin mag-execute to. Mag-skip na siya, dito na siya agad. So, it will then print x equals the latest value of x, which is 5. Okay? So, ayun. Sige, let's do this, collab. Laki ah. Okay, so let's just create a new notebook. Ayan. Okay. So let's just copy and so we initialize the value of x. So x equals 0, and then we have the while statement, while x is less than 5. So don't forget the colon, guys. The first line is the body of the while loop is the print statement, print not there yet, comma, x equals, sige, copyhin natin yung x equals, and then nag-concatenate tayo, so we convert yung integer na x, so gawin natin string, so yan, and then x equals x plus 1. Okay. Tapos, nag-exit na yung natapos na yung body ng while loop. Yung last line of code is nag-call ng print statement. So, print, sabi x equals, ano ba yan? Plus, so, string x. Okay. Ayan. Okay, so, nag-iterate siya ng 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And then, once it reached the value 5, ayun, hindi na nga siya pumasok dito, no? As you can see, na-print, nag-jump, nag-skip na siya dito. So, print x equals strx. So, the latest value of x is 5. Kaya yun yung nandyan. Alright? So, ganun. Next. So, this is just an explanation, no, ng code na to. So, that's what we did earlier, just now. Ayan. Okay. Next, we have an example of a while loop inside a function. So, tandaan niyo yung yung function before. Okay, so let's take a look at this example. Una, nilagay yung def keyword. Okay, so, di ba, ibig sabihin yan, you are going to define a function. So, this is the name of the function, attempts. Okay, and it takes the parameter n. Now, inside the body of the function, meron tayong x equals 1. So, ano to? This is initializing the value of x. Alright? Tapos, meron kang while loop. Meron tayong while loop sa loob ng ating function. Okay, sabi dyan, while x is less than or equal to n, this is what your program is going to do. And then, pag nag-exit dun sa while loop, ang last na gagawin is to print done. Ayan. So, let's look at it. Ay, by the way guys, no? So, again, yung ibig sabihin nito, this is just equal to x equals x plus 1. No? Parang ito din siya, nasa taas. So, ayan, try natin. Def attempts tapos n equals, tapos nag-initialize ng value ng x, and then nag-call ng while statement. Yung condition ng while statement is x less than equal to n. So, don't forget the colon. Inside the body of the while loop, we have the print statement, print attempt, and then nag-concatenate. Okay, so convert into string yung x, and then we are going to update, change the value of x. So mag-add daw tayo ng 1. Ayan. And then after the while loop, no, so last is to print the word done. Ayan. Okay. So this is our function. Now let's call the function attempts, and let's set the value of n to be equal to 5. Ayan. So, anong nangyari dyan? Parang kanina din, no? So, yan. Yan. So, you defined a function attempts, tapos, inside the function, dun ka nag-initialize ng value ng x. Okay, so x equals 1. Now, the condition of your while statement is, if x is less than or equal to n, you're going to print attempt, tapos kung ano yung value ni x. Okay, so let's take a look at it. So, attempts 5, so n is 5. Okay. First value of x is 1. So 1 is less than 5. That is true. So attempt 1, diba? And then update yung value, change natin yung value ni x. We have x equals x plus 1. So 1 plus 1 is 2. So the value of x here now is 2. 2 is still less than 5. Therefore, ayan, nag-iterate pa siya until attempt 5. Okay, because 5 is less than or equal to 5. So that is true. So nag-iterate pa rin. And then, nung nag-6 na yung value ni x, this became false. So hindi na tayo dumaan sa body ng while loop. Nag-skip na. Ito na yung last na ginawa. Done. Right? So, gana. So, ano naman to? Ito naman, an example to call a separate function that evaluates the condition. So, sabi dyan, username, so this is a variable, equals get username. Tapos may parenthesis. No? So, get username is a function. While not valid username, this is a function. No? Okay. Print invalid username. Tapos, mag-update yung value ng username variable to get username function. Right? So, yan. Sabi dito, there's a get username function that asks the user for a username. So, we had this before. And a valid username function that validates that username. Okay? So, in this case, the body of the while loop will be executed until the user enters a valid username. So, paulit-ulit na sasabihin ng program mo na invalid username kung hindi papasa sa parang criteria ng pagiging valid. Okay, yung username na nilalagay niya based sa sinet mo dito sa definition mo ng get username function. Alright, so ayan. So the important thing to remember is that the condition used by the while loop needs to evaluate to true or false. It doesn't matter if this is done by using comparison operators or calling additional functions. So, yun lang yung tatandaan. Dapat yung condition ng while loop mo, ang sagot ay either true or false. Okay, so yun lang. The conditions used in while loops can also become more complex if we use the logical operators that we encountered when looking into branching and or and not. Ayan. So, yung paggamit natin ng while loops can be more complicated, no? Hindi lang basta ganyan. Okay. So, we have here common errors in writing loops. Okay? So, baka mahulog ka sa ganitong trap, kumbaga. Okay, so number 1, forgetting to initialize variables with the right value. So Python might raise an error saying that the variable being used has not been defined. So, ayan. Sabi dyan, while my variable less than 10, print hello. Tapos, update the value of my variable by adding 1. Kapag in-execute yan ni Python, ano mangyayari? Siyempre, dito siya sa unang line, while my variable less than 10. Hahanapin ngayon ni Python yung my variable na variable, di ba? Nasaan to? Sino ba to? Ano ba yung value niyan? Wala. Hindi mo binigay. Kaya, sabi ni Python, meron kang name error. Name my variable is not defined. Okay, kasi nalimutan mong lagyan ng value, initial value si my variable. So, okay. Let's try it here. While my variable is less than 10, yeah, print hello. Tapos, update the value of my variable. By adding 1. So, let's run. Ayun, diba? Same. Name error. Tinuro pa niya, ito, nandito yung error natin. The name my variable is not defined. Okay? So, yeah, this error type is a name error. It says that the variable being used is undefined. Okay? Kasi nga, hindi ka nag-initialize, hindi mo sinabi kung ano ba siya. Kung ano bang value niya. Right? So, yeah. Ngayon, ano naman to? Nag-initialize tayo. Sige nga, try nga natin mag-initialize. So, let's initialize the value of my variable. Let's set the value to be equal to 5. Now, running the code. So, there. You have 5 hellos. Okay. Unang value ni my variable, 5. 5 is less than 10. So, check. True. Pinrint niya yung hello. This one. Tapos, 5 plus 1 is 6. 6 is still less than 10. 7, 8, 9. Yon. Hanggang 9 lang. Kasi yung 10 is not less than 10 anymore. Okay? So, yun. This is the output ng value ng my variables 5. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay? Nakuha nyo guys. So, ayan. Madali lang naman siya. Okay, so that's the first common error. Number 2. Reusing the variable without setting the correct value from the start. This will result to the variable to have the same value as before. Okay. So, ano yan? Okay. Itong ano sa tingin niyo yung ginagawa nitong while statement na to? While x is less than 10, sum plus equals x. Ibig sabihin, kinukuha niya yung sum of all, let's say, integers. Kasi plus 1 na. All integers that are less than 10. Okay? Ayan. Ito naman, while x less than 10, product equals product times x. Okay? So, ito naman, kinukuha yung product. So, ayun. So, yung numbers 1 to less than 10, ayan. Yun yung gusto natin, no? I-multiply sa product before. Okay? So, yeah, let's try. X, let's just copy the code, equals 1. Tapos, nag-initialize din tayo ng value ni variable sum. So, sinet natin yung initial value to be 0. Tapos, we have the while statement, while x is less than 10. Okay, ano daw ang gagawin niya? Sum plus equals x. Tapos, to update the value of x, x plus equals 1. Okay, so, ayan. Ay, hindi pala natin pinprint, no? Print sum. Ayan. So, yung sum daw, from 1 to less than 10, which is 9. Ang sum down ng numbers ay 45. Okay, check mo nga sa calcu kung tama ba yung 45. Tingin ko tama naman siya. Ayan. So, let's do the next lines of code. Ano yung product? Initial value of product is 1. Tapos, we have a while statement while x is less than 10. Product equals product times x. And then, to update the value of x, sabi x plus equals 1. Okay, so let's call on the print function. Let's print the variable product. Okay. Bakit 1? No? Tama ba yung sagot na 1? What do you think? Is 1 the product of the numbers from 1 to less than 10? Yun ba? Kasi nag-start tayo sa di ba? X equals 1. So, dapat ang gagawin niya, 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 hanggang times number that is less than 10, which is 9. Pero bakit 1 ang sagot? Okay. Sabi, reusing the variable without setting the correct value from the start. Tama naman di ba? Nag-set tayo ng value ni x to be 1. Pero what happened? Kasi, dito, update yung value ni x, di ba? Ano yung last value ni x dito? Ano yung latest value ni x dito? Sige nga, let's to verify, let's just ask. Ayan. Pero ikaw, ano sa tingin mo yung value ni x dito? Ayun, 10. No? So, at the end of this code, the value of x is 10. Ano na yung next na i-execute ng code mo? Ito na, di ba? Oh, so, na-execute ito na. Product equals 1. Tapos, while x is less than 10. So, ano nga yung value ni x? Value ni x is 10. So, pag pinasok mo yun dito, 10, while 10 less than 10. Is that true? Hindi. No? False. Nag-false So, hindi na pumasok dito sa body ng while loop. Tapos, kinol natin si product variable. Ang nilabas niya 1. Kasi, yun yung initial value niya. Hindi na rin naman nag-update kasi hindi nga pumasok dito sa body ng while loop. Alright? So, gets nyo guys? Dito sa example natin, the code is there's nothing wrong with the syntax of the code. No? Pero, mali yung sagot. This code is semantically wrong. Okay? Tama yung syntax, pero mali yung sagot. Okay? There's something wrong with the semantics of the code. Alright? So, anong dapat natin gawin? We have to, again, initialize kung ano ba yung gusto nating initial or first value ni x. Okay? So, kung maglalagay tayo dito ng x equals 1, ayun. Diba? Sabi dyan, 362,880. Yan. Okay? Nalimutan lang palang ilagay yung x equals 1. Okay? So, ayun na nga. So, ayun. Ginawa na natin. Tinama na natin. Next, we have infinite loops and how to break them. Okay, so, ano ba yung infinite loop? It is a loop that keeps executing and never stops. Diba? Sabi natin, yung body ng while loop will keep on executing as long as the condition here evaluates to be true. Okay? Sabi dyan, yung infinite loop, hindi lumalabas. Hindi natatapos yung pag-iterate. Hindi natatapos yung loop. Okay? So having this means that the code block in the loop will continue to execute and never stop. This can happen when the condition being evaluated in a while loop doesn't change. Pay close attention to your variables and what possible values they can take. Think about unexpected values like 0. So, ayan. Punta lang tayo dito sa example. Ayan. We have the while statement x modulo 2 0 and x equals x over 2. Sabi while x modulo 2, ano nga yung modulo? Anong i-return nito? Yung remainder. While the remainder is equal to 0, ito yung gagawin. X equals x over 2. Okay? Anong ibig sabihin ng x modulo 2 equal to 0? Ibig sabihin, even. No? Even. Kapag even yung number, ang gagawin daw is i-divide sa 2. Pero anong mangyayari kapag 0, di ba? 0 divided by 2, anong remainder nun? Wala siyang remainder, 0, di ba? So, magiging true ito. Pag naging true yan, pupunta siya dito. The new value of x is 0, yung initial value, divided by 2. What is 0 divided by 2? It is 0 again. So, 0 to, pabalik dyan, 0 na naman, hindi yan matatapos. Diba? Yun yung, sige. Ay. Teka. Let's say, we print x. Let's initialize x to be 0. See, ang tagal, hindi na siya natatapos. Bakit hindi, walang napiprint? Tinan mo yun, no? yung green na arrow. So, paulit-ulit lang dun yung code. Pansin nyo, guys? Hindi siya lumalabas dyan. Kasi, nagkaroon tayo ng infinite loop. No? So, hindi na siya nakarating kay print statement. O, pag ganito, stop mo na yan. Okay? So, yan. may, may infinite loop. So, to avoid this, we need to think about what needs to happen for a loop to be successful. So, unahan mo na yung loop. Unahan mo na yung infinite loop bago pa siya mangyari. Parang ganon. Okay. Dito, may condition. Sabi, if x is not equal to 0, gagawin niya to. So, gawin nga natin. If x not equal to 0, ayan, tapos, ayan. Okay. So, the initial value of x is 0. Sige, gawin na lang natin na 5. Okay, if x is not equal to 0, papasok siya dito, and then print x. Okay. So x is still 5. Okay. So, ano nangyari doon? Diba? If x is not equal to 0, nag-hold true ito. Oo, kasi 5 is not equal to 0. Next, nagpunta sa while loop. While x modulo 2 equals 0, 5 modulo 2. Ano daw ang remainder ng 5 over 2? 1. 1 is not equal to 0. So, hindi nag-execute si while loop. Okay. Gawin natin to 6. Kaya ang pinrint niya kanina 5. Okay, so dito naman, ayan. 6 is an even number. So, nag-true dito. Kaya nangyari to. So, 6 over 2 is 3. Nung nag-iterate 3 over 2, 3 modulo 2 is no longer 0. Kaya hindi na to execute. Therefore, yung pinrint na value ni x is yung latest, which is yung 3. Okay, 3.0. So, hindi na to integer. Ito ay float na. So, in this example, we said that x needs to be different than... Oh, I guess yung concern pala natin is yung infinite loop na. So, kung napansin nyo, wala nang infinite loop. Okay? So, in this example, we said that x needs to be different than 0. So, we could nest this while loop inside an if statement. Okay? So, nesting is yung ganyan. Inside an if statement, you have another statement. Inside the while statement, you have another statement. Alright, so that's nesting. Okay. So with this approach, the while loop is executed only when x is not 0. Yan. And ano naman to? So let's try this this code. So let's write while x is not equal to 0 and x modulo 2 is 0. We are going to have the value of x updated by setting x equal to x divided by 2. So, ano nangyari dyan? Instead of having... Ay, sige, teka. Mag-initialize din tayo dito. Set natin yung x to be equal to 6. Tapos, at the end of it, let's write the print statement. Let's print the value of x. Ayun, same. No? Pero, this code is cleaner, diba? Kasi it has less lines, and yet it's producing the same result. No? And I think this would be easier to understand. Okay? At saka mas, ano siya, mas malinis, mas concise tingnan as compared to your nested code here. To our nested code here. Okay? So, yan. Ano bang ginawa dito? Kinombine lang with the word end. No? So, while x is not equal to 0 and even number, okay? Sa kanya, execute itong body ng while loop. Alright? So, yeah. So this makes sure we only enter the body of the loop for values of x that are both different than 0 and even. Ayan. So kung hindi ma-meet pareho yung dalawang conditions na yan, hindi siya papasok sa while loop. Ayan. So note, when you're writing loops, it's a good idea to take a moment to consider the different values a variable can take. This helps you make sure your loop won't get stuck. If you see that your program is running forever, katulad nung kanina, di ba, sige ang ikot lang, without finishing, have a second look at your loops to check that there's no infinite loop hiding somewhere in the code. Okay? So, ayun. Pag nakita ka ng siging ikot lang dito, or hindi na natapos yung code mo kung ikaw ay gumagamit ng actual Python app, then meron ka ng infinite loop. Okay? Ayan. So, that's the end of our lecture. Thank you guys. Bye!